My name is Farida, and I talk about living a life of ease through remote work, global mobility, financial abundance, and travel. If any of these things sound like a vibe, please like, comment, and subscribe. So, I am doing a follow up video on fire and just going through the information, going through the types of fire, going through how do my beliefs about ethical living, work, financial abundance, a life of ease, how does it align with fire? And the more that I'm researching, the more I am seeing a lot of problems with the fire movement. So let me know your opinions after this video. I'm going to just jump right in. So, what is FIRE, first of all? FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, and it's a movement focused on saving aggressively, often 50 to 70% of income, investing so you can stop working far earlier than traditional retirement age. So, on the surface, that sounds cool. Who wouldn't want to retire early? Who wouldn't want to be able just to live a work free life? And do that in 10 to 12 years, that sounds so amazing. But the first thing that I'm thinking about, 50 to 70% of your income. How many people do I know that can save that amount of money every year? Most of the people that I know make 40 to $60,000 per year. 40 to $60,000. So, how are they going to save 20 to $30,000 per year? It's just not realistic. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, and while I don't think that's a good idea either, I think telling people that in order to have financial abundance and retire and have this dream life, you need to sock away wages that are just making it, and you've got to sock away half of that. So, as someone who has gotten their budget down to bare bones, and someone who may be a little bit blessed than others, but let's just be honest, I'm right in the average. I'm your average American worker. It's just not feasible to save that amount of money. Most people save about 5 to 8% of their income every year, and that's really good. A lot of people are in the red every year or just making it in the black. So, that is one of my concerns about fire. The typical target for fire is to have 25% of your annual expenses in investments so that you can live off of the returns. So let's say that your retirement living expenses would be $35,000. You would need to be able to save a principal amount of $750,000. You plan on living on $40,000 per year, you would need to have 25 times that amount for $1 million. And that would be the principal that you're living off of. And you would just take from the investment amount of 5% every year, and you live off of that investment amount without reducing the principal. It sounds amazing, but it's very problematic. Now, there are variants of fire, which include lean fire, which is very low spending and high frugality. And as everybody who knows me knows, I am not a frugal, miserable living person. I don't need much, but I do love nice restaurants, get togethers with friends, nice barbecue, wonderful trips, retreats, massages. I like the hammam. I like the souk, hot air balloon rides, camel rides, ATV rides. And with lean fire, you can't have these experiences. You're living an extremely frugal existence where you don't do much, you don't give a whole bunch of gifts. You don't travel. You don't vacation. You're just simply focused on socking away that 50 to 70% of your income. Then you have fat fire. And this is a more comfortable lifestyle with higher saving needs. And these are your high earners, the folks that are making over 200K a year, and they're socking away 100 plus for investment for the future. Again, that's wonderful. That's great. It's a lifestyle that will be very nice. However, these are the people, are the 1% that most of us will never get to anyway. Most of us will never be making three, four, $500,000 a year. So, those people are already going to retire and retire well. So they don't even really need the fire movement. They're going to be set for life. And then you have barista fire, which is the partial retirement plus part time work. So that was the route that I was thinking about. In my search for remote from anywhere positions, I was thinking of living a barista fire lifestyle, living off of my investments while having a part time job, which seems to me to make the most sense. You do not have to be a barista, even though that's like a dream of mine. I would love to work in a coffee shop. However, it could be part-time advising. I have an uncle who is retired, but he travels all over the world to do advising in the field he used to be in. And he gets paid very well for his advising and enjoys it, which is pretty much the point of this video. Fire seems to be a real denial of pleasure now so that you can have it later type of philosophy. And that was what I was trying to get away from when I moved to remote work. I don't want to deny myself now so that I can have it for a possible later that never comes. How many people do we know that are in the prime of their health and they pass away? How many people do we know that get sick, have illness, who have job losses? And they can never do that thing that they wanted to do. It was always for me about living that easy life and that peaceful life now. And I think the hype of fire kind of made me forget that. I think fire can encourage people that hate their current life to defer their happiness until after retirement, which really conflicts with my morals and the Islamic teachings of contentment and gratitude. As a Muslim, I want to be content now. I want to be grateful now for the life and the abundance I have now. I don't want to have a rice and beans lifestyle. I had to snap out of it. You miss out on so many experiences, connections. You miss out on marveling at the creation. You miss out on so many things when you're constantly focused on the future and you're miserable with your present. So I think it's important to, yes, fix your present. If you can get a better paying job or a job that you love better, absolutely go for it. But I think that being grateful and having that peace and that ease now is very important. It's important to me. And then there's that social isolation risk, which kind of happens when all of your friends are still working and you are totally retired. It can get a bit banal and it can get a bit boring. And I think that's why a lot of older people come out of retirement, even if they're financially set, boredom, the routine. Not that I feel that I would have that problem, but it could be an issue for some people. Also, my faith teaches me to value work, the creativity, whatever you do, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a consultant, an engineer. There's something so stimulating and satisfying about doing work well done and with perfection in a good way. So when I'm working, I feel so good. If I solve a problem for a student, I feel so satisfied. It's a satisfaction of a job well done. So productivity, work, helping others, being of service is very in line with my ethics and my faith and my morals. And do I want to give that up at some earlier date than 65, 67? I don't think I will. I think I'm going to be enjoying work in my 50s and my 60s and God willing in my 70s. So I don't think I have that same type of negative connotation towards work that people in unfulfilling and toxic jobs have. So I think the answer, in addition to financial literacy and savings and other good things, is to find productive, meaningful work that fills your spirit, that makes you feel alive, that makes you feel content. I don't think fire has all the answers when it comes to that regard. So, in the next video, I'm going to be talking about some things that we can do to modify fire, make it more faith based and ethical, make it more realistic, and also just some good habits to maintain that financial abundance as we head into our 50s, 60s, and 70s. All right, thank you for listening to me ramble about fire. Let's chew the meat and spit out the bones and explore this topic with a more abundance approach, a healthy approach towards work, and a life of ease approach. All right, thank you so much for listening. Bye.